Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have not done this in a while, and I think we needed to do it. I said I was going to do it on my little morning walk this morning on Instagram. So this is what it is. I'm making sure I reduce the audio over here on Instagram. So, as you know, streaming live out to all of my channels. So this is live on Instagram, LinkedIn. We're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and we are on Twitter, aka X. And so I see we have some people joining on Instagram. I tend to get the most comments on Instagram, second most on LinkedIn, and then we go from there. But it's fun to be able to reach people where they already are. I'm trying out this new camera that I have over here. I recently purchased a 4K camera, a web camera, so I'm testing that out. But really excited to get going. This is my first live stream for this year. And of course, the day after Bob Marley's 80th birthday, this is early in Black History Month in the United States, Reggae Month in Jamaica, and, representing for the Ghanaians that are on here. So big up yourself and the way that you have impacted our culture, especially Caribbean culture. I have to admit, one of the pet peeves I have when I see Black people in America keep talking about Black culture, and then they only talk about Black American culture, and they leave out the rest of Black people around the world. They're a tiny, tiny part of Black culture. And so it's important that we do our thing, right? You have to give props to Black Americans for how they have impacted culture globally. You think about hip hop music and what that has done, R&B, certainly in the sports arena, whether it's the NBA, NFL, and etc. And you give props, right? They have benefited from an amazing system. This is obviously the United States and the platform that it provides them, and some have taken advantage of that, as they should. We shouldn't be complaining about that. We should be building our own reach. That's what I would say to people. So it is what it is. These are our cousins. Is the ships simply stopped at different places, and I'm sure if we trace it back far enough, there's a lot of relations there. So let's see where this goes. But I'm excited to talk. One of the things I want to talk about is our diaspora bond offering that has now kicked off in the United States. Looking forward to any questions you guys have. I love taking questions about business, entrepreneurship. I tend to get some stuff related to life. Obviously, we're talking about investing. Remember, not here to hide anything. We are very much focused on sharing knowledge and paying it forward. So that's what it is. I have at least an hour today. I'm back home, and I've been traveling a little too much. I'll be very honest. It's fun to travel, but it's also tough because I'm away from the wife and kids. Our two oldest boys now have cell phones, so they will text me and let me know that they're missing me. They want to know when I come back home. They're checking up on shows that we're going to watch together and that we're racking up episodes. Which one is the first show we're going to watch when they get back? So pretty excited about those things, but it's a reminder of what really matters is the time. I cannot get back that time with the kids. And we're making things more efficient. So in our case, one of the key things I have learned is that money should be used to buy time. Buy time. That's the first thing. So whether you're going to pay for somebody to help you clean the house, or pay for somebody to help you wash the clothes, or pay for somebody in the business to do something specific, you should consider it, right? You need to look at the ROI. I think too often a lot of us look at something as an expense, right? Bringing somebody on your team is seen as an expense, not as an investment. But if you look at it from a standpoint of, one, I'm not as good at this thing that I can hire them for, with a fractional, part-time or full-time. There are different ways to get access to people. But I'm not as good at this as they are. That's number one. Well, if you bring them on, they will get it done faster than you and better than you. Those things are important. Or the person may simply be better at just that thing, right? Faster is one, better is another one, or maybe you're just not good at it, right? But most importantly, and I think the biggest reason to invest in other people is that you don't like doing it. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you should keep doing it. And I think that is a big problem with a lot of founders. In my case, I have an MBA in marketing and international business. So I tend to be the person that handles marketing. And that's the last thing I will ever give up, I'll be honest. Or brand architect David Yard would say that I've held on very tightly to it, but he's at least fairly happy with some of the things we've done. I built the islandforward.com website myself, and he built the bloomerholecapital.com website. He has some things he would do differently and change on Island Forward. So that might happen. But there are certain things that I have taken on. I edit the videos that you will see posted for Bloomer Capital. He does the graphics. I have a template that's in Canva. I can go in and then modify based on that. But we have a template that says, here's what the brand looks like. Here's how we remain consistent. But if you know you're good at something and you enjoy it, you should consider doing it. If it is getting in the way of more important things you need to do, stop being head cook and bottle washer. Invest in other people. Buy their time. Think about it that way. Buy their time. That is how you can do more with the same amount of hours as every other human on the planet. If you don't have the money to buy their time, it means that you need to work smarter and work harder so you can afford to buy their time. But you have to think about it from an investment standpoint. You bring people under the team because they're going to either save you money or make you money or both. So if they're saving you money, factor that into what you're paying them. If they're going to make you money, definitely factor that in because it's an investment. It's like planting a seed, you get a tree, and then it's going to blossom and give you a bunch of mangoes, which is actually the same way that investing works. You need to be thinking long term. Burnout is not cool, right? That hostile culture is not cool. You don't need to work 24/7. That's not how it works. You shouldn't be proud of working 15 hours a day and 80 hours a week. That means you're inefficient. It means that you're not buying other people's time for maximum efficiency. You're actually shaving years off of your life. I'll be very honest. And you're probably dropping the ball in some other aspects of your life, whether it's in your relationship, marriage, whatever it is you have, or in friendships. And you're going to need friends. Everybody needs friends because we all got through something. So please don't be afraid to buy time. So I love this. Woof. How do you prioritize your first hire? That's a really good question, Samantha. So what I have learned to approach, because all my businesses have been for profit. So I don't know if this applies to non-profits, but I think it could. I am hiring for one of two things. I'm either going to hire somebody who gives me more time to focus on what I need to do because I am the person bringing in money, right? So somebody has to do sales, right? Sales matters. Cash is the lifeblood of the business. So somebody's out there either generating revenue by selling something to people or they're raising capital from investors. That's really what it is. I don't want to go out there and borrow more money. Debt is not going to keep the business afloat. I need to repay that debt. So I need to bring capital in to be able to grow the business, execute this amazing vision that you have and change the world in your little approach. Well, that means the person has to have sales experience. So if you are the one that's good at sales, hire somebody to take some other stuff off your plate. So that might be someone that helps you with operations or helps you with financials, the financial side of things, right? Accounting, your financial controller, or you hire someone that might help you with marketing, right? Because you may not be good at actually the opening, you might be the closer, right? Not everybody can open and close. So maybe you are good at closing people. Well, you hire someone that can get to the leads and then you close. If they're good at closing and you're good at opening, you can tell the story, you can explain your why. Hire somebody who can close. Make sure they can handle the back office part, right? Once they close an investor, paperwork has to go to them. Money has to come in. Then you have to confirm that this capital has come in. You better stay in touch with those people, though. So you need to write something, whether it's quarterly or monthly. So that's how I prioritize first hire. Sales focus. They are either going to help me do better at sales because they can open or close, or they're handling the back office part so I can go and focus on closing. In my case, I tend to be the salesperson, but I also realized I brought in somebody for my first hire that could also help with sales. I would train them, and first they would help me with the back office. I'll tee it up, I'll get them closed. This person will follow up to get them to actually sign the paperwork or wire the money, answer any additional questions. So I gave them a script, an FAQ, and a script. So here's what you say with the first email, the second email. Here's all the questions you could expect. Here's the answers. If they ask something that's not on there, reach out to me and we'll add it to the list. So we're building that internal knowledge. So we have a library. So that's how I prioritize first hires, and that's what I would recommend to people. If you're in a nonprofit, guess what? You're asking for money. Who is helping you to collect that capital so you can then execute the projects? In the case of the nonprofit, well, you still have people that need to execute the project. So you may need two first hires, somebody to help you raise money and somebody to actually then execute, right? Deliver what it is that you promise. So great question, Samantha. And big up the Launchpad at University of Miami. I love that one. Let me see who is on Instagram, because I've seen some issues over here with Instagram and the live stream. So it paused. I have it. So as you know, I use in StreamYard. That means that Instagram comments and questions do not show up in your comment section. They come from every other platform except Instagram. So I have to open Instagram on a separate screen, and I open Instagram on the iPad. I don't want to have too many things open here and distract. So it's over here, and it's still not loaded yet. So I'm sorry. We're having trouble loading this live video. Please try again later. Hey, technology does technology stuff. So that's the way it is. I'll pull it up again and keep trying. But it's a great question, and I appreciate it. Let's see. No, it's popping up over here. So hopefully I can see some more comments and questions. I see we have 9 people on Instagram right now for our February live chat. I can't see how many people are watching elsewhere. Thankfully, it is recorded. So it's on YouTube, it's on Facebook, it's on X, right, on Twitter, and of course it's on Twitch. So if it doesn't get saved on Instagram, we can put it over there and see where it is. But hopefully that helped you think through first hires. That's my approach. It could be different, obviously, in a university setting. And I just noticed something. I can't see how many people are watching live. It says 28 up here, 28 eyes, and then 2 hearts. I don't know if it counts the people on Instagram. There's 10 over here on Instagram, and there goes this trouble loading this live video again. It is what it is. But yeah, that's something that I would say from the hiring standpoint is important. The next thing, though, is how you scale that hiring, because it's not the exact same thing. You don't only hire for sales. Ideally, you want 2 salespeople because there's a little bit of friendly rivalry. Competition is good. They can feed off each other as well and go from there. So you really want to get one, train them well, identify where some issues are, get a second one, train them as well. And now you have 2 going out to go under that for you. Beyond that, no, you need to make sure that your operations are smooth. So most entrepreneurs, unfortunately, take too long to do this part, which is getting in even just fractional, getting in the accounting services. So you can close your books every month, every quarter. Yes, I know you're not necessarily reporting out to a ton of people. You're not sending quarterly financials, but you need to do it for yourself. And I'm a big fan of Mike McCullowitz's profit first model. Idea being that expenses are very important, but you can design your business to be profitable. And so he would say revenue minus expenses equal profit. That's what we're all taught. Revenue, money you bring in, minus expenses, the money you have to spend to run it, equal profits. All the expenses, right, equal profits. And well, if it's a formula, then it means we can move that around, that equation. So revenue minus profits equal expenses. So if you decide not starting out, we're going to have a 1% profit, start with a small number. It means that when the revenue comes in, you move aside 1% and you put it in a separate bank account that you can't touch, preferably a separate bank from where you have the revenue account and you have your main expenses account, and go from there. He also has a taxes account. So he actually recommends you do 5 accounts. Let's see how that works. But revenue, so money that comes in. Then you're going to have your operating expenses. And you need to have percentages for this. You have your profit account, you have your tax account, and then you have your owner's pay account because he wanted to pay dividends to yourself once a quarter. So twice a month, the money, you're going to look at it and see what came in, and then you move over in the percentages 1% to profit, 15% to tax, 60% to operating expenses, and the difference goes into owner's pay. And then once a quarter, you pay yourself that dividend. That's Mike McCullowich's suggestion. You can modify that. The book is called Profit First. I like that approach. And we are using that for everything we're doing. In our case, so we're raising money from investors. So we have a separate investor account. So I can track capital that comes in from investors. That's not revenue. There is a difference. So I want to separate that. I want an account for revenue. And then when revenue comes in, we move aside a percentage that we are going to target. See Naomi saying, good morning. What are your thoughts on investing in EV businesses? Do you think EV projects will grow in the US or internationally? I like that one. So let's start with how, in my opinion, you should be looking at investing. I am a value investor, so I'm a Warren Buffett guy. So I tend to want to look for profitable existing businesses run by capable management, domiciled in strong long-term growth industries. And the managers have to be prudent managers of other people's money. So those are the things I am looking for. That means it's not going to be a startup. I love somebody saying BYD. So Warren Buffett owns north of 10% of BYD through Berkshire Hathaway. I have Berkshire shares. I have paid down at a BYD in Jamaica. That's an EV business, right? But it's on the car side, right? Electric vehicles, not buses and trains. I don't know what else. We have EV planes that are going to come out at some point. Although I think humans are going to be worried about what happened when the battery dead in midair. It wouldn't be taken off. But just saying, right, there is going to be that range anxiety. Is going to be a different thing in the air. The car don't fall out of the sky. So let's note that one. I would say that the car business is a very, very rough business. When you look back at history and look at all the car brands that were founded in the 1900s through the 1930s, you would be surprised at how many car companies existed in the United States. Think about this. Do you know why Audi has 4 rings? Because it's 4 car companies that merged to create Audi. That's what that is. So economies of scale matter. In the US, I don't know what's happening with the EV business because the tax credits that are required to get people to buy them, there is a inertia, a cultural inertia. America love big vehicles, big SUVs, and big pickup trucks. Just when you look at it, right? You know, little Toyota Corollas and so on. Smaller cars don't sell, partly because Americans love to drive. Right? America has the same thing you would talk about in Nigeria with oil, right? You call it it's a resource curse. Right? Norway had oil; they did better though. The resource curse in America is the land. They have so much land that they just build everything with sprawl. They don't make cities like New York City. That's rare. So it's not like Europe where they're trying to build and keep things more concentrated and make walkable cities with public transport. The United States is all about driving and forever, tons of space, right? The frontier mindset. That means that range anxiety is a real thing. They're fighting out Chinese EVs, which are the cheapest ones that could come to market. And of course, this administration is not friendly to that, despite Elon Musk being a part of the story. So I don't know what to invest in, right? I think it's too early. This feels very much like the dot-com era. We know the internet is going to have massive impacts. But if you get in too early, you lose a lot of money because you're going to buy everything and you don't know who is going to be Amazon, Google, Microsoft, right? You could have bought Yahoo instead and say, oh, crap. Wow, wrong one, right? You need to spread your bets across all of them if you're going to invest at that early stage. But it's betting, and I don't want to bet. So for me, investing in EVs is more about buying one for myself. And I'm going to just trust Warren Buffett, to be honest. He has done way more analysis than me. He has way more experience. So if it's BYD he's buying, then it's BYD I would look at buying, and I would go easier than anything else, right? We've seen what has happened with VW, for example, pushing too far and too quickly into EV. Just saw what happened to Ford here in the United States, pushing too quickly into EV. So it's about where is their market, what's their price point, what's their competitive advantage. I'm not trying to become an expert in the EV industry for now. I'd rather wait until it shakes out and I could identify a winner. In the meantime, I'll just keep buying Berkshire shares. I'll be very honest. So yes, BYD is the only one I'd realistically look at. I know NIO is out there. They were coming up with swappable batteries, which is a cool idea. But from what I've seen, that's actually a very hard thing to execute, and the capex is insane. The capex is very high, and I'm not a huge fan of capex. So look at this. Thank you for sharing your sage wisdom. You see above my head, Naruto. I think that's is that sage mode up there. But that's how I think about it, right? Start with what are your goals for investing. You know what Michael Leachin would say, and everybody knows I'm close to Mike. What he would say is you want to predict, plan, and persevere. So we can predict that electric vehicles are going to catch on. We can't predict which brands are going to win. So it's hard to then plan to make investments unless you're a VC and you're willing to take risk across all of them. We really don't know. And we've seen car companies go bankrupt a few times. So there's significant risk. So predict, plan, persevere. We already have a prediction problem. The next thing that you would want to look for is really and truly understanding, is perception different from reality when you're investing in that industry or that region? Because you want perception to be different from reality. You want to see a lack of equity capital flowing in to that market. And then is important, as we say, right? Want to start with lack of equity capital. We want to see that there is a perception must be different from reality. And those two things alone, we don't even need to go to the third one, just those two alone go and say, boy, there's a massive amount of equity capital flowing in the electric vehicles. So just going through number two, right? Number one, the perception is that EVs may have a range problem, which is actually not true. So the reality is not, it can work. Most of us drive less than 35 miles a day, 55 miles a day. I mean, the car can do that 3 times before we need to charge. So perception definitely is different from reality. So that's one check. Okay. When you get to the second one, you don't even reach it. Just reach the second one. I say, oh, there's a ridiculous amount of equity capital flowing in. So is it really the industry I want to get in? Do I want to compete with those? All right. So you're thinking of infrastructure and equipment that supports EVs. So again, predict, plan, persevere. So you can predict that EVs are going to need more level 3 infrastructure. So the fast chargers. Nobody wants to sit for 4 hours and 6 hours charging the car. So we need chargers that are level 3 and any new technology is coming up. We don't have fully universal chargers. So your charger needs to have some adapters there because not all the cars use the same standard. And then, of course, you have 2 options. And are you going to be creating systems or investing in systems that are going to be at commercial locations? So it's going to be at the parking garage at an office, for example, or at a hotel. Is it going to be that you invested in somewhere that's putting them at houses, which is a different one? You don't need level 3 at the house, right? Or are you going to invest in a company that installs them at apartment complexes, right? There's different kinds. No, I don't think anybody's doing it for everywhere. I don't think so. Is there an opportunity to invest in that? Yes, they have patents, so that means they have some intellectual property. Again, though, you don't know which one. More importantly, that's a massive amount of capital expenditure. Every time you put out one of these devices, that's money. It has to be manufactured, it has to be installed, it has to be connected to the grid, it has to be maintained. Building out the Tesla supercharger network was a ton of money, billions of dollars. So invest in a company that does that. Do they have the capex? Can they raise the money to scale? Do you believe the management can do it? Of course, there's a way to reduce capex. Right? I saw a company actually pitch us at University of Miami Launchpad Innovation Program, the Hurricane Innovation pitch competition last week, and I was impressed. Indian students at University of Miami have invented a level 3 charger that they want to deploy. They've been testing it already. And what they do is they partner with the owner of the location, and the owner has three options that allows them to make more money. Right? The company can install the charger, but they keep the majority of the money, the larger split from what it is. And they have the option where the owner of the land or the building, the parking lot, the apartment building, they can cover the cost of installing the charger, right? Buy the charger and install it. So no capex, no installation cost for the business, and then they take a smaller percentage of the profit, right, from actually selling the electricity. That was impressive. So I do think that there are companies you could look at, but again, it is an early stage startup in most cases. So we need EV infrastructure, no question about that. And we need it in other countries more than the United States, because this is not where that market is really growing. If you look at the growth of EVs, it's stalled at this point in time. You're looking at a country like Norway, that's north of 60% EV, big difference. Right? You have other countries that will catch on. If Chinese EVs are being sold there, it's going to catch on even more because they're so much cheaper. And oil is expensive, and these countries don't have oil. They import oil. So if you can reduce importing oil into a country, then you tend to get support from the government, but that's also good for the environment in that country. They should like that. And then, of course, most importantly, it's just more efficient. Why would I do that? So even with the high cost of electricity in a lot of these countries, and I can charge it solar. That's awesome. It'll take longer. So yeah, I do think there's opportunities to look into that, but it is earlier in the game. I can't think about publicly traded companies building out EV infrastructure in growing EV markets. There might be public building out EV infrastructure here in the US, but that's not the same as building out infrastructure here in other markets that I think are more growing. So great question. I love that. Looking forward to more questions. I like that the discussion went to the EV side. You get to see how I think about things. This is not necessarily saying it's the right way. I just always want people to understand this is my approach, right? You should ask people who you look up to, what is the framework that you use for your decision making, right? What is the framework that they use? Because inevitably you might ask them for something one day, and if you understand their approach to it, then you can frame your question and frame your ask based on how they are going to evaluate it. And those are things that matter. Too often we all want to raise money from somebody or get something from somebody, right? We need them to help us execute something, or we're trying to get a service from them, or we're trying to get a date. And we don't think through what matters to them and how they are going to think about it. Their framework does not matter to us. And so you have a lower chance of success, right? Salespeople are taught to understand that person's decision-making framework. So when you go to somebody, you say, what is most important to you? How much this thing is going to cost you, or how much this thing is going to save you? It's two different things when you frame it that way. And it was interesting. I saw a video that somebody sent to me on Instagram. They tend to send me these videos where this young guy walks around and he asks people who look successful, what do they do? How much money the most money they've ever made in a year? What advice they have for entrepreneurs? Really good set of videos. And my friend sent me one yesterday, and he said it's the best one to date. And when I saw it, I was like, man, this one is good. Ask the guy. The most money the guy has made in a year is 10 billion Canadian dollars. Runs a company that helps supplements and medical things get through the regulatory process, mainly in the United States. He said, what advice you'd give? And the guy said, well, don't just send out a price. You start by asking somebody, how much is this worth to you if I can get it done faster? And he says, for example, if you get this product to market and you estimate that you'll generate $1 million per month from selling the product, right? Call it a supplement. And it takes you 3 months longer to get this done if you don't use him, then that's $3 million of revenue you've missed out on. And you cannot get those 3 months back. It's gone. He says, well, if I'm going to save you $3 million, I'm going to allow you to make $3 million more than you'd have gotten. You know what I would do? I would say the important part then is 10%. Right? Pay me $300,000. My $300K is nothing. I'm going to help you make a new $3 million, not just the stuff you're going to do. I'm saving the 3 months. It's worth $1 million I want to. You're only going to pay me $300K. That's how he does his pricing. He starts with what is the value to the person and then prices accordingly. Most of us don't do that. Most of us go in this flat fee pricing. We're trying to figure out how much to charge, and we go to everybody. Everybody is not the same. That's the point. Everybody is not the same. You're not making a commoditized product in most cases. A lot of us can do something that's more custom, which means we can do custom pricing. And I think that we need to wrap our heads around that. Right? If you want to make something that goes into Walmart and Target, fine. Those need to have a fixed price, and they're making sneakers for this. But once you start getting into custom things, value yourself accordingly. So those are the things I would say. But it is important to think about that. Right? The third thing you would have looked at when we said that you want to look at perception must be different from reality. There should be a lack of equity capital flowing in. The last one would really be inefficiencies must be present. But as I said, in the case of the EVs, we just stopped at number two, lack of equity capital flowing in. Well, there's too much equity capital flowing in, so I wouldn't jump into an industry like that. It doesn't excite me. But to each your own, right? You understand my decision making framework, which is based on Michael Leachin's decision making framework, which ultimately is based on Warren Buffett's decision making framework. I just don't have to take that many risks, right? What Warren would say is that if you think of your life as having a scorecard with 20 punches on it, right? And you can only invest in 20 things, you will approach each investment very differently. You don't have to swing at every pitch. Nobody can call you out. Just wait. Wait on the perfect pitch. And then jump into that company or that opportunity with 2 feet, 2 hands, head first, and run at it. So let me see if I can pull up this thing on Instagram, because Instagram hurting me, man. Hurting me. I can't see 14 people live, and I can't see the stuff on here. I might have to actually switch over to Instagram on my laptop and try to look at this. Is rough. So let me see. It really not working on the iPad. Well, no, but thank you for joining on Instagram. Yeah, man. Event log. So the stream is going. I can't watch it live on here. I might have to try put it up on the phone and watch it live on the phone instead. But I see Cheryl just joined. Hi, Cheryl. Cheryl is my new chief of staff, which is making my life so much better. Guys and girls, when you reach a point that you're being constantly bombarded with requests, speaking requests, meeting requests, people want to show you something, and they want to ask you for money, when it becomes overwhelming and feels like it's taking away from your productivity, bring in somebody, whether it's an admin assistant, you can start virtual, fractional, call him a chief of staff, whatever you want. Bring in somebody to help you manage that calendar. People are going to message you on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, emailing, trying to coordinate to get on your calendar. And you waste time working on that, right? Calendly does exist, but you still want to not just give somebody a link to go and book Calendly. You're probably not just sitting in the office. If it's early stage, you're not just sitting in the office waiting for people to get on their calendar. Those blocks matter. And you might end up traveling last minute and you forget to close out the thing on Calendly and block out those dates. Let somebody else manage that for you. So get that virtual assistant or scale up. In my case, I have a chief of staff that's part-time, right? Every single morning, Cheryl called me about 8 o'clock to go through my day and my calendar, what might have shifted, what I need to expect, context, who, why. Trust me, I feel so incredibly productive because of those things. Everybody need a Cheryl in their life. That's what I'm going to say. Big up, Cheryl. Oh man, I'm going to try pull up Instagram on my phone instead, because this is not working for me. This is not working at all. Where it to the phone over here? Because I know you guys on Instagram are always asking stuff. So we're going to switch over here. See, I'm on the phone. I need to switch to Blue Moho Holdings or Blue Moho Capital so I can watch myself. It's so weird. And then you can make sure,
So
whoa,
let me switch over here.
and then we deal with the audio. So that works. And look at this, it's working perfectly. I mean, Instagram isn't a native app to the iPad anyway, so I'm not surprised that I would have some trouble. I've never had this much trouble before. But now I can see it perfectly on my phone, and we can go from here. So, anything else you guys want to ask while you have me on the phone? I have a call at 11 o'clock I'm doing with Canada, but otherwise, I'm here, I'm available, I'm sharing things. I got this book. My lawyer, Arthur Baker, gave me this book for last year. Stephen Covey, whoop, The Speed of Trust. So this is a guy that obviously wrote Seven Habits of Highly Effective Leaders. Actually, this might be his son. Yeah, this is his son. Stephen M.R. Covey is his son. His father, the author of Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, wrote the foreword for his son's book. Can't wait to get into this. I still haven't actually got into it. Abby actually is bad. Over here, you see this? I have a bunch of books I need to read. I want to reread. Oh, you see the light rough? I'm rereading this one, Interpretation of Financial Statement, because I have to do my own financial statements. I want to make sure I know. Can you see the two questions posted there? No, I can't see the questions. God, just getting into Instagram here. So please post them. Second one I'm reading, One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch. Peter Lynch is one of the greatest investors that's ever lived. So really impressed by that. And I actually have a summary version of his book. So I'll read the summary first and go back to the book. And then I have three Harvard Business collections that is called HBR's 10 Must Reads. So we have Building a Great Culture, we have High Performance, and we have Trust. Right? It's really important that you build trust, especially when you're taking money from people in the public. Right? We're taking public money. So that's important. And then I have a book from Busy Williams out of Barbados, one of my shareholders. Busy wrote a book, Working to Build a Stronger Nation. So he signed this for me, and I need to read that. And then everything down here, we actually have Warren Buffett's essays of Warren Buffett. And then I have a ton of Harvard Business Review magazine. That's what's on my table. So I do have an interesting book listing. Now, let me put this here. But yeah, because we're hiring a team that we want to be high performance, I need to make sure we have the right company culture and that we focus on excellence, high performance, and then trust matters to me. We're going public, we're taking money from the public, and we need to report. So I see in these questions here. Not sure if this question was answered earlier. I dropped off the stream. I didn't see the question, Jeremy. So Kerry Wallen is saying, what do you think of the future of digital mining? Okay. So I like this. I'm going to say speed reading. No, I don't want speed read. I want to actually absorb it. So guys, digital mining. Are we talking about stuff like cryptocurrency? Because I'm a Warren Buffett guy. So I don't care. I have zero interest in crypto. Absolutely zero interest. I actually don't care about gold either. It's not something I invest in. It's not something I care about. It's not something I believe in. I think it's the biggest con ever pulled off in the history of mankind at this point in time. So I don't care about digital mining. I have actual no thoughts on it. Right? We saw what happened to NFTs. Didn't want to listen to us people. But look here, my mom is calling me. Why is mom calling me? So I need to jump off this quick and answer that because that I'm back. My mom don't call me for just anything, So I have to take the call, mom, say if I can talk. She had a dream. She's one of those dreamers. So mom had a dream. She said basically the end of the dream, somebody said to me that I'll be spending time on campus, more time on campus whether I want to or not. And this is my family has been pushing me to go and teach, right? Actually go on campus and lecture. So that means it's coming. It's coming. All right, I see carry one and also answer. Will your company put procedures in place so persons in the diaspora can buy the bonds being offered? Yeah, well, the procedures are in place right now for people in the US to pledge to buy a bond. And then after we collect enough pledges, then we'll actually begin the process where they can fill those pledges. They'll buy it. So procedure already exists. Right? People are buying shares in the company in Blue Mountain Capital right now via an SEC regulated platform, which is part of the requirement under the Jobs Act. So that's how you get to do that. So the procedures are in place. It'll be the exact same as if you're buying shares in the company right now. You'll be able to buy bonds in the other entity that we've created for the diaspora bonds. So yeah. So I love that you're asking about Canada. So yes, Canada and the UK will come next. I need people to understand that issuing securities in multiple jurisdictions is expensive. Just estimate a minimum of 30,000 US dollars upfront per jurisdiction. It actually costs more than that, but call it 30,000 US per jurisdiction. So if I was to go to US, Canada, and UK, I'd be out $90,000 plus travel. I need to go there in person as well to do certain things. So call it 100,000 US dollars upfront that I may never get back. It would be unwise for a small company to go and launch securities offerings in multiple jurisdictions at the same time. It's like launching your app as a startup in Android and iOS. You don't want to do that. You're spreading yourself too thin, right? And you treasure your little capital too thin. So we will eventually launch in Canada and the UK, but we need to start with the one that we know. We know the US. We're based here. We're a US company. Start with the jurisdiction that we know and we understand their securities laws. We are really making sure we do this the right way. We get one chance to this. But we in the diaspora have been burnt way too many times trying to invest back in our home countries. Regular thing, even to family members. We are sending money for build a house and we go down and we see tree black and we don't understand where the money got. Just real talk, right? We've seen this happen too many times. The cash plus, the all in, the all have SSL, and you send both money and other people money, and then it takes forever. And taking forever in that case, all in, I don't even know what happened. Bernie Madoff here in the US, we've seen these things. So transparency matters, doing it through something that's regulated matters to me. Trust. We need people to trust Blue Mountain Capital, to trust us, which means that we do it the right way. And doing it the right way means that we have to go through the appropriate securities regulator in each country to do that offering. Right? We don't need to rush to get to everybody. What we need to do is do it the right way. Doing it right usually means going slow. We're not interested in going fast. It's not smart. Yeah. So I appreciate the questions, Kerry. And yes, Canada and the UK, look out. Right now, US persons, they can go to islandford.com and yes, you can pledge. Right? So the link here. You can go there and you can pledge for the diaspora bond. On the US side, it's $100 US minimum. It's not some $1,000, $100,000. The whole point was that the person with $100 can invest in the Caribbean, not just $100,000. And it launched on Bob Marley's birthday, and we're happy to do this and kick it off during Black History Month because we, as a people, typically have not supported each other. We have not supported each other, right? Jewish people supporting each other, Chinese people investing in each other, Indian people investing in each other and supporting each other. We, unfortunately, as Black people, as you know, tend to go and support everybody else except our own. We would rather talk down to our own. We would rather doubt our own. We'd rather say, when am I going to the money? I they don't thief the money. It's always negative. It's this PTSD, right? We have trauma from having supported some of our own in the past and being burnt. But what one person or a few people did should not be painting everybody else with a broad brush. And that is why we go the extra mile to go through something that's a regulated offer. Here in the US, we have to be very transparent about what we do with the money. And we even go on insured. So the bond is insured as well on top of that. These are the things that matter to me. These are the ways that I was raised. And some people disagree with it. And that's fine. I want retail investors to get access to the same investment opportunities that the wealthy people I know have access to. Why should they be the only ones who can make 15% and 18% a year and 25% and 100% in some cases? They've bought into something that scale. We need to make sure everybody benefits. You need a strong middle class for a country to actually have economic growth and to be stable. No middle class, that's a problem. But there you go. Blacks are not known to be loyal to the customers they sell to anyone. I don't know if I agree with that though. I do agree that blacks are loyal to Jordans. They buy Jordans. Black people seem to be loyal to Louis Vuitton, right? So I don't know. In terms of black companies selling to black customers, I don't think they sell to only black customers. I mean, Fubu was for us, by us, and they were, you know, obviously designing stuff for black people. When I looked at the Nietzsche and academics, I mean, they were loyal to the culture, but anybody can buy. That's the point. I can walk into a Chinese restaurant. No Chinese people tell me I can't come in there. Right? BET wasn't what was promoting black culture. Actually, have some issues with what was promoted on BET. But the key thing is that you shouldn't stop other people from buying your stuff. Right? Ferrari don't stop black people from buying Ferraris. They don't only sell to Italians. So I'm not sure what you mean by that. Oh, even so, what Elvis is saying is that they sell the company to white investors. So what? Money is green. There's no need to keep the ownership to only people of your color. I'll be honest. Yeah. Buy the company then. And if you can't buy it, then you don't have the money to buy it. Why you don't have the money to buy it, right? The ownership doesn't matter to me. I don't care if a Chinese person buy into the company. I'm not trying to look at race only for what they're doing. Right? Uplifting the race means taking capital from whoever wants to provide capital so that you can then inspire the next generation. You can invest in the next generation. Right? I have all sorts of people invested in Blue Maho and own shares. So yeah, if Warren Buffett came to me and saying would buy Blue Maho and allow me to do what I want to do, then I would do it. I wasn't trying to keep it to myself. And so they'll be saying that you can't expect loyalty if that is attitude. But I would disagree with that one, Elvis. I don't know about expecting loyalty. We're not expecting loyalty. We don't want loyalty from black people. We simply want us to come together and invest in each other to go and build something. Don't look on the person and say, well, why them feel them can do that? Them think them better than me. You know, a thief, I'm going to thief the money and you talk down. Right? It's the same way that Jamaicans are so negative. You know, I'll never move back to Jamaica because of, and then they go and tell something that's not true. Right? If you're using factual stuff, that's different. But you need to be very careful that you're not simply speaking from emotions versus facts. And I think too many people focus on the emotional side. I don't see why it matters who owns shares of the company, as long as they're not trying to trick us, right? And make us feel like what they're doing is only going back to black shareholders, right? Or they're trying to use our culture to sell something to us. Cultural appropriation is not cool. But if you are going to have a black person that founded the company and the person has an exit, more power to you. That is new money that they can then deploy back into supporting more black founders. So I don't have a problem at all with that one. Let me see any other comments. Anybody else on Instagram? I have to hop off in another 15 or so minutes because I have this 12 o'clock, well, this 11 o'clock call in Canada, which is fun and exciting that we have that kind of relationship to talk to people all over. Right? There are people who want to see this stuff. Elvis said him agree with that part. The important thing is paying it forward, right? When you sell, you don't want to sell out. You sell the business, what are you going to do with the money? Are you putting it back into the ecosystem to help lift up the next set of entrepreneurs who look like you, who sound like you? And I think that we do have an issue with that, where we have not sold the business and then put more money back in to the ecosystem. We've sold and then sold out. And that is where we have a big problem. So I've seen Jermaine on Instagram is asking, do you believe that great customer service retains customers and therefore drives business revenue? That's a surprising question because that's obvious. I mean, that's common sense. And it's actually taught in every business school at undergrad. Every book you read is going to talk about that. So I don't know if it matters if I believe it. It's a fact, right? If you focus on keeping your customer happy, good customer service, and this is the customers you want, I need to be careful. A lot of people don't realize that not everybody is a customer you want. In fact, you want to fire some customers. You have a target market. You know what your target customer is, right? Target is not going to change their approach and their pricing to bring Walmart customers to their store. They have their target market. Walmart has their target market, and never the twain shall really meet. That's just how it goes. And so you have to think about it. But it's factual, right? Just great customer service gets loyalty. Loyalty is very beneficial to a business, and the best example is musicians. Just look at musicians. Musicians don't need to sell to everyone. They don't need to. Right? When Kendrick Lamar goes on those, they're not like us, and says that, man, he alienated a bunch of Drake fans. Did he care? Is he trying to get the country music people? No. Is he trying to get the EDM people? No. He has his target market. He knows his customers. He delivers for his customers in an amazing way. And it builds even more loyalty for them. So, yeah, man. When you said not all business practices, no, well, not all business practice good customer service, period. Right? We need to stop thinking of Jamaica as the world. This is normal. Bad customer service is normal. So just because they don't practice it, don't really mean anything. Customer service is bad. We had very bad customer service at South Beach last week for a dinner meeting at our conference. So we want to see customer service improve. The reason bad customer service exists typically and can happen for years in the same business is because the customer service is not what is causing somebody to decide to shop there. Right? If you are focused on the lowest price or the most convenient location or is the only game in town, then customer service will matter. And they know that. The business owner knows that whether or not the customer service is good, you are going to shop there and give them money anyway. If they know that bad customer service reduces the opportunity for the business, they would fix it. Because they're in the business of making money. If they don't make money, the business gets shut down. We just have to admit that. So if you get bad customer service there, don't patronize the place. And then tell other people, right? Word of mouth spreads. But the problem is that people willingly accept bad customer service and keep accepting it, but expect something to change. And that is the fundamental problem. Behaviors change when that behavior will have a negative impact on the person. So on the business, it will have a negative impact when money not going in their pocket anymore. But as long as they feel that it don't matter, because that is not why people shop there, then they're fine. And we have to admit that not everybody competes on customer service. And look at banks, Jesus. Right? Now, some of them want to just compete on convenience. Some people compete versus on price. So these things matter. You don't always compete on customer service. I would love everybody to care about customer service the way Disney cares about customer service, but it's just not the way it is. It's just not the way it is, unfortunately. So you go. But more comments, guys. We have a few more minutes before we wrap this up. I think is a great live chat. I need to do these more often. I really want to get to the point where I actually can schedule the stuff, the shows like this, have a season, and just know stuff for the next 6 weeks. Every Wednesday at this time on live, and you can watch it, right? Versus doing the podcast and pre-recording things. So we'll do that too. But I love these live interactions because things are happening, and I prefer talking to people in real time as something just happened last week and we talk about it. Something happened this week, we talk about it. I love it. It's like a radio show. But I'm traveling a bit. We're reducing the travel. Well, for now, we're reducing the travel. And then we have a road show. Right? We are in this phase where it requires me to go on the road. And honestly, I don't have as much time as I would want for myself. I'm setting aside time for the family, though. Learned my lessons last year and over the last 4 years. Setting aside time. So there are dates that are blocked out, that my wife has blocked out, and I can't do anything about it on my calendar. Only her and Cheryl have the authority to do anything with those dates. So I love it. I love it. So Kerry's asking, do you think it's wise to invest in Jamaica government bonds right now? I've never bought a Jamaican government bond in my entire life. I don't invest in bonds. I've never bought a US Treasury in my life. I'm not a bond person. Bonds provide fixed returns, right? Fixed interest returns. I think that's for income, right? The typical thing, the number will change, but typically financial advisors are taught to tell you that how much you invest in equities versus bonds is 110 minus your age. That number goes into equities, right? And then the difference is in bonds. So the younger you are, the more you put to equities because you want capital appreciation, and the less you put to bonds. As you get older, you want to rebalance a portfolio and shift more into safety. Because you're getting close to retirement, or you may now be retired. Ongoing income matters, and so that's where bonds come. So I'm not shifted into bonds until I'm 65, and I'm only 44 years old. So I have a lot of time to continue to build up wealth. I have zero interest in bonds, right? That's just the way I approach investing. Fine. I wouldn't say 0, 1% interest in bonds. Right? Howard Marks has taught me that he could look at some bonds. Even a hedge fund I worked at was able to buy bonds at a discount. They borrowed money to buy the bonds. That means he had a nice fat margin on those securities that he bought. I'd rather buy some pref shares, but it is what it is. So that is how you think about investing in bonds. I don't care which country it is. I'm even more fearful of US Treasuries at this point than Jamaican bonds. I'll be honest, right? Jamaica in November 2023 was upgraded. Yeah, it's still junk, but it's not investment grade. But it's just like 1 or 2 notches below investment grade. So that's a good thing. Foreign investors for the first time in history bought Jamaican government bonds in Jamaican dollars in October 2023. First time in history that Jamaica did that. So obviously the foreigners do believe in these 5 and 10-year bonds in local currency. They're not expecting a lot of changes in terms of massive fluctuation with the dollar, because they're going to take US dollars, convert it to Jamaican, buy Jamaican dollar bonds, paying them 7%, and then hold on to that for the next 10 years. I'll be honest, 7% do not attract me. Today, right now, I can put money to work and earn 15% a year. Right now, bond level stuff. Why would I convert to Jamaican dollars and then buy at 7%? Zero interest, right? It really comes down to what options you have. If you don't have something better than that 7% on Jamaican bonds, then you buy it. And you want income, and it's a part of your portfolio. If you have better options, then you go elsewhere. You should always balance your decisions in that way, right? Always compare opportunities. But that's why it's important for companies like Blue Moon Capital to give people access to more investment options. They should have more things to compare to. We are looking at a real estate investment opportunity right now here in the US that's paying out 12% a year. That's real estate. Okay, if something fails, I can sell the property. So we feel fairly confident about that. Can we create a vehicle that gives retail investors access to that? So it's not just accredited investors that write in a $50,000 check that can get into that. Why can't regular people get access to these things? That's why REITs exist. So that will come, and we're excited about that. But it's surprising when you go to these investment conferences and you hear about the kinds of returns people are getting on a annual basis from the things they're invested in, and it's like, but you're telling everybody else, a regular man and woman, to put their money in a CD that paying 3.5% a year, right? That's a CD. Let's not leave it in a savings account that pays you 0.5% a year if you're lucky. It's wild. It's wild. So yeah. Government of Jamaica bond, super safe. I'm too young to be buying those. That's my answer. So yeah, man, Kerry, I love it. You say understand, fair enough. Any other questions? As we wrap up, I think by 10:50 I'll jump off. I need to get in the right frame of mind for this Canadian interview stream at 11 o'clock and throw on a blazer. I think I'm going to wear a blazer. Also, sometimes I've been wondering, should I wear the blazer? Does this stripe? Well, the stripe not on my belly, so it don't look. Now that I have a little belly, I'm working it. I'm down 9 pounds in 2 weeks, guys. I'm feeling good about that. I'm extremely, what do you say, sensitive about this. I'm trying to. I've never weighed more than 200 pounds in my entire life, guys. When you pass 40, your body processes food differently. I don't care how much football I played. Oh wow, real talk. You saw me make the post all over the place about my suits not fitting me anymore and having to buy new suits. So you know it's real. You know it's real. So any more questions before we sign off, man? I'm here. I'm excited. I love this. I love the interaction. I love sharing with people. I love being transparent. I think too many entrepreneurs are afraid to talk about the reality of being an entrepreneur and taking their time to go up that curve, right? It's an exponential growth curve. So I say, I know, just tuned in, just turned 44 2 days ago, so you can relate. Hey, happy belated birthday. Big up on the Earth Strong. This is Derval Romans. Big up, man. Happy birthday. And welcome to the 44 Club. But you know what's cool? That's Lewis Hamilton's number, 44. So all his gear that's going to drop this year for Ferrari is our birth, though. Is our year. Like literally is our year. Is our age. Is great. So 44 the big thing. Big up Lewis Hamilton. Big up all the Ferrari supporters. Big up all the new Ferrari supporters. And that reminds me, where's my Ferrari cap? I bought a Ferrari cap the other day. I need to find it. I'm thinking, did I leave it in Jamaica? Might have to go double check that. I'll buy another one. It's a white one, white with some red stuff. So I need a red one with a yellow thing. But yeah, man, one more year upon them, Derval. Big up. I love seeing people who are celebrating in their 40s, guys. You're still young, we have enough time ahead of us. Walden Stone said, just tuning in, did Blue Moho already get listed? No, bro. Like, I love that you think that, but no, if Blue Moho had gotten listed, it would have been the front page of like every newspaper. Right, we were the first Jamaican entity to list on a major US stock exchange, possibly the first Caribbean one. We'd only be the 8th black-owned company listed on a major US stock exchange. Only 7 of them right now, which is just mind-blowing to me. So now, when Blue Moho Capital gets listed, one, you'll know the ticker symbol, because we can be running that everywhere. We'd have rung the bell for NASDAQ. We'd be in the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, Black Enterprise, the Gleaner, everywhere. Trinidad, all them things. It would be big news. So that will come. Us getting listed is not the number one priority. Us building a successful business that generates returns for our shareholders is the priority. So that's what we need to focus on. We'll continue to work on the listing process, but it's not a SPAC, right? It is not some reverse merger we're doing. Build, list. And so we're in the building phase while the investment bank keeps working on the listing process. I appreciate that you want us to list ASAP, because right now only US investors can actually buy shares in the company. We do have something that is going to be available in Jamaica to give Jamaicans access to Blue Moho pre-IPO equity, plus some other things in the portfolio, but you have to stay tuned for that one. And we probably can't even announce it publicly, so you have to sign up for our email newsletter so you can be a part of that investment partnership that will go public. So we will have a listed vehicle in Jamaica, listed on the stock exchange there, that gives you access to Blue Moho and some other things as well. Once again, we want to focus on transparency. We want the things that are regulated. We want it to be audited, and we want to be liquid. Those four things really matter to us. Can people invest in Blue Moho? No, yes. People can invest in Blue Moho Capital right this minute. Just go to this website, www.islandford.com. You can buy shares in Blue Moho. It is only open to US persons, though. Just being very clear. US persons. Or you can do the bond. Again, only open to US persons. We were designing a company that would solve a problem for the diaspora that wants to invest back into the Caribbean, Jamaica, Barbados, Bahamas, Guyana. That's who we're solving the problem for. We know we have a bunch of local Jamaicans, clearly some Trinidadians. We are not in Trinidad. Please stop sending money to people who tell you that we're targeting Trinidad. We're not doing anything in Trinidad, guys. Please don't send any money to anybody talking about Blue Moho to Trinidad yet. It's not us. It's not us. But yeah, we're trying to solve a problem for people outside of the Caribbean. So we focus on executing there under those securities laws starting in the US. We know some locals in the Caribbean want to invest in Blue Moho and what we're doing. So we have created a vehicle. In fact, I need to look at the paperwork that the lawyer just sent to me. We've created something that will go public on the Jamaica Stock Exchange and give CARICOM residents a way to invest in Blue Moho Capital and some other companies that we feel very confident about. The majority of the portfolio is actually publicly traded. So we care a lot about risk. And so what we want to do is allow people to invest in a way that minimizes risk. It doesn't eliminate risk. You can't eliminate risk. You get in the car, you go for a drive, you're taking a risk. So you can't eliminate risk. You can minimize risk or reduce risk. So what we look for is what Warren Buffett would call a margin of safety. So the portfolio has some public equities in there, 15 global securities, 15 local securities. Out of the 15 global ones, Blue Moho Capital is one of them. So you get pre-IPO stock in a company that's going public at a discount, so margin of safety, and you get access to a publicly traded portfolio. So it's easy for us to say what's happening to it, and you get to see that as well. So we really want to minimize the risk. That's how I look at it. And at the same time, it allows us to teach people about our approach to investing, why we bought these companies, what we see in them, why we might have sold something. And that allows us to have an annual general meeting in the Caribbean, for example, and we get to answer tons of questions like this. It's going to be awesome, right, to be able to do that on a public stage. I do expect that Blue Moho Capital goes public before the listed vehicle in Jamaica, but you never know. Maybe things will move faster in Jamaica than up here. I have no idea. But it is 10:50 a.m. I am seeing this notification popping up on my phone that I need to get on this call in 9 minutes. So I need to go drink some water, clear my head, and jump on this thing in Canada and go from there. But we need to do more of these. And I will make some time and just hop on again. I will do another February live chat soon, preferably schedule one ahead of time so people can jump on. For those of you who didn't get to watch live, where you're watching now, big up. Thank you for everywhere you're tuning in. Post some questions and I'll answer them on the next live. Let me go back and look. I'll look at your questions, especially on YouTube. Don't forget to them on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and so on. But you can go to youtube.com/David P. Mullings and check this out. Let me double check and make sure that's right. I'm looking at my channel right now, and it is youtube.com/David Mullings. youtube.com/David Mullins. Oh man, Derbo saying thanks for what you do. Hey, no, I appreciate this. Thank you for supporting, and I look forward to jumping back on here with everybody. I just pass on what I learned, guys. Right? Just share it, pay it forward, pass on to people, and that's how I was raised. And when I make mistakes, don't worry, I'll share the mistakes. So I have no problem. Actually, we should do that. The next time I get on, we should talk about big mistakes and what I've learned from them and how that has impacted my approach to life, my approach to business, my approach to investing. Because too many people make it sound like they're smart and never make a mistake in their life. Trust me, I've made a lot of mistakes. So next one, let's do big mistakes. Let's set up a Wednesday wisdom and let's talk about big mistakes. Boom. Salute. Big up Narity. Big up Road Boss. Again, happy birthday. One more year upon them. Therefore, respect. 44. 44. And big up Lewis Hamilton for that. Guys, I am hopping off now. Later. And make us proud.